What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC football channel. Let's take a look at our 5 biggest questions for the Auburn Tigers in 2020. These are the questions that they must answer, the questions that will determine how successful they are this upcoming season. Of course, coming off a really good year when you look at the schedule that they had and the fact that they had a freshman quarterback going 9-3. I know they didn't finish well in the bowl game, but this program starting to maybe build a little bit of momentum with a lot of these young players. We'll see what they can do this upcoming season, and here are those 5 questions. First of all, can Bo Nix play better against top competition? Bo Nix looked really good against Mississippi State and Ole Miss and Arkansas, some of the middle to lower tier teams in the SEC, but then you look at how he played against top competition, against Florida, against LSU, against Georgia. He really struggled, and he found a way to come in late, like in the game against Oregon and the game against Georgia. He came in late in those games and stepped it up and made some big plays, but he needs to be more consistent against the top competition. If he can do that, this offense is going to be very tough to stop because we know how talented he is and we know what they have around him. So it really comes down to Bo Nix playing better against those top teams in the SEC. Next question. Can Bo Nix get some help? Can they find a better run game? The run game just has not been there the last couple of years. We had this long run where Gus Malzahn had a 1,000-yard rusher pretty much every year. I forgot how long that streak was, but they haven't had that. The last couple of years, they haven't been able to run the football as well. Jatarvius Whitlow is now gone. DJ Williams looks to step up and be that go-to guy. Maybe they find some help from some of the younger players as well. And at wide receiver, he needs some help as well. Seth Williams was really the only big target for them. I know they have the speedster Anthony Schwartz, but they need some help at wide receiver. They need some options. They need some guys that can get open, and the offensive line's got to help out as well. Just need the overall offense to help out around Bo Nix because if they can step up their game, obviously he is going to play better. And back to that offensive line, how good will the new faces on the offensive line be? This offensive line loses 4 starters from last season. 5 guys that started at least at some point during the season. Nick Brahms is the only guy back. He'll be the starting center most likely. But they're going to have new faces in that offensive line, and it's not exactly a bunch of 5-star recruits. So how good will these guys be? How good will they play together? This is probably the biggest question I have for this Auburn team. Because it all starts with that offensive line. If they can't protect Bo Nix, if they can't open up holes in the run game, this offense will not be successful no matter how good Bo Nix is. So that is, I think, again, probably the biggest question for Auburn. How good will this offensive line be? Sometimes you get new faces in there and you say, well, they don't have experience, but sometimes they come in and they're actually better. So you never know what you're going to get. That'll be a big question. Now, can the defensive line reload? We know Marlon Davidson is gone. We know Derek Brown is gone. Nick Coe is gone. Can they reload on that defensive line? They've been able to do it pretty much every single year. They lose these great players. They have more guys coming in behind them. We'll see if they can do that. They've had some really good recruiting classes once again the last couple of years on the defensive line. Going to really rely on some young players, I think, to help them out there. Big Cat Bryant, probably the big guy. He's kind of that buck linebacker defense. I still call those guys defensive ends, but whatever you want to call them. What are they going to do there on that defensive line? Can they continue to be dominant up front like they have been pretty much every year? That's really the tone for their defense. We'll see if they're able to get it done on the defensive line because I think the rest of the defense will be fine. And then we go back to the offense for our final question. Can Gus Malzahn and Chad Morris coexist? 2 alpha males, 2 guys that are very smart offensive coaches. They're friends. They've been friends for a long time. But can they coexist when it comes to actually coaching and calling a game? Gus Malzahn has called plays, and he stopped calling plays. He gets too stubborn at times. We all know that. Chad Morris is coming for being a head coach. Gus says he's going to let him run this offense and have total control. Will it happen? That is going to be the big question. And a lot of question marks on this offensive line. Again, getting help around Bo Nix, the offensive line, Gus Malzahn, and Chad Morris. If all these questions are answered in a positive way and everything comes together for this offense, we know the defense will be solid. Maybe not as good as last year, but they'll be pretty good on defense. But if they can answer all these questions offensively, all of a sudden Auburn goes from being a top 25 team to a top 10 team. They go from being, the second, third, fourth team in the SEC West to maybe having a chance to win the SEC West because the talent is there. And again, it's going to come down to the answer to, in my opinion, these 5 questions.